not good.
But this isn't a question about media bias. What we're seeing is 5 things. We're seeing somebody go to mass rallies, constantly lie, to incite fervor in a cult of personality base. We're seeing him make victimization honorable. They're all victims, right? We're seeing the allegation of conspiracy, the deep state, hidden nefarious movements that only the leader can see. We see the scapegoating of minority populations, vulnerable populations, and then lastly, the assertion that I need to exercise these powers that no president has ever claimed to have. This is deliberate. This is an assault on objective truth. And once you get people to surrender their sovereignty, that what is true is what the leader says is true. What is true is what the leader believes is true, even though what's true is staring you in the face. When that happens, you're no longer living in a democratic republic.
Right.
35% of this country has checked out. They have joined a cult. They are obedient. They are obedient to the leader. And this is straight out of 1984 with Winston at the end of the book, when the party official is holding up 4 fingers and says, Winston, how many fingers there are? Winston in tears says, I see only 4. And the leader of the party says, but it could be 3 or it could be 5. It is what the party tells you. And that is when democracy dies in America.
It's scary, but it did not begin with Trump.
Democracies in regression all over the world. In Poland, in Hungary, in Austria, in Italy, we see the rise of autocrats and autocracies. And to see an American president cheerleading it is as scandalous as it is disturbing. But the assaults on the rule of law, the lawlessness of this president, the attacks on our institutions, and this may all be much more fragile, and it's certainly more fragile, I think, than I thought it was. But the truth of the matter is this: when we look back in history to the 1930s, fascism did not rise because it was strong, but rather because democracy was impotent and weak. And when you have a country now where 80% of people born in the 1930s thinks it's essential to live in they think it's essential to live in a democracy, you ask the same question to people born in the 80s, the number's 25%. That is a profound crisis, and America is under attack. It is under attack by the Russian Federation that is trying to eradicate trust, faith, and belief in the American Republic, in our democratic institutions, and our political leadership in the majority party is complicit in it. They are not defending this country, and they are unfaithful to their oaths of office and to the Constitution of the United States. Well, if you look at the special elections, you're sitting there as a House campaign strategist. You're saying that unless you're in a district that's plus 25% Trump or greater, right, you could be in trouble. You could be in a plus 20% Trump district, and you could go down in 2018. So I think there's going to be an enormous blue tsunami. I think the Republicans will lose control of the House. But what will be left behind will not be chastened. It will be more batshit crazy.
Yeah. Because
what's left behind are going to be people in plus 25, plus 30% Trump districts, and their only vulnerability. And when in a country now where the politicians pick their voters, not the other way around, their only vulnerability is to be out-crazied in the next primary when 12% turnout occurs and only, obviously, the craziest people turn out. And that's how
I don't mind if they're batshit crazy as long as they're in the minority.
Right.
You can go back through history, right, all the way to the beginning. 25% of this country has always been whack jobs. Right? Always, right? I mean, going back to the penchant for conspiracy, you can, the Know Nothing movement that throws the marble that the Catholic Pope donated for the Washington Monument into the Potomac River, it has always been there. The point is, there are more of us than there are of them. And in an election that is secure, right, you hope that that manifests itself. But, but fear is a contagion in a democracy. Trump uses fear. Yes. And he's exhausting the opposition. When you're in a fight, you can win 2 ways. You can bring your opponent to submission, think Germany and Japan after World War II, or you can break their will to fight. Think of the United States and Vietnam. And the degree to which Trump and his lies and the constancy of the craziness, it breaks people's wills. It checks them out. They become exhausted by it. And I think that there's some evidence in the polling to see that's happening. And so 95 days from an election, which I would argue is the most important midterm election in the history of the United States of America.
Great.
Right? Is that everybody out there Everybody out there has a job to do, and it's to vote and make sure your friends vote, because there must be a check on this lawless administration, or we're down the road 10 miles into Trumpistan, looking at the United States of America in the rearview mirror.
Great way to end it. Thank you, panel. Thank you. Time for new rules, everybody.